What is the creepiest or most unexplained thing that's happened to you that you still think about to this day? I had a recurring nightmare of a pitch-black parasite sucking the life out of me. Sometimes it waited for me in dark corners to go to bed. My cats always slept on my bed during that time. For me it was a very stressful time. I got an itch at the place of my chest where I dreamed the parasite was sucking my life out of me. I got sick and felt a pea-sized lump. I went to my doc and they ordered a biopsy of that lump. As it turned out, I had male breast cancer at the age of 28. After I got well again, the dream never came back and my cats slept in their places again and not on my bed. The dream was creepy enough. What it made for me were my cats protecting me. Cats are remarkably in tune with human health. Many stories of cats in nursing homes spending time with someone right before they die. My own cat will never leave my side when I'm really sick. It's quite interesting. Pets in general are really in tune with our health. The day after Thanksgiving, my dad starts to have a bad stomach ache, all over his torso. He's a tough Marine though, assumes, well, no shit, I ate too much yesterday. Well, Saturday and Sunday come and go, it's gotten worse. Monday evening he goes into the hospital on base to get it checked out. Turns out his appendix had ruptured Thanksgiving night. The entire time he was home all weekend, our Great Dane would be right on his side and sniffing or nuzzling where his appendix was. He could sense or maybe smell where the injury was. I had a schnauzer that could hear a cat stalk across a Persian rug. The slightest noise could wake her from a slumber and set off her constant barking. She made a great tent companion while on backpacking trips. Bears, raccoons and skunks would all get fair warning if they came within range of our campsite. One morning, we woke up from a night without interruptions in the backcountry of SW, Colorado. And I found my tent's central guy line was no longer staked down by the aluminium stake that I had used, but instead by a piece of aspen branch that had been carved into what looked like a tiki statue. Nothing too ornate, but a snarling face with teeth had been carved from the bark, and it had obviously been heated in a fire to give it a brown color. My dog didn't make a sound and I apparently slept harder than I thought. I scrambled out of the tent and looked around the small alpine lake and saw no other campers nor any sign that people had been around. Cut my trip short and hauled ass the 8 miles back to my car. Not a single other car in the lot at the trailhead. Whenever I think about doing a rural camping trip by myself, this is the kind of stuff I imagine happening. So creepy. I had a short lucid dream. And the scene happened a few days later. I am 200% sure about that because I keep a diary of my dreams, and it matched perfectly. I have things like this happen to me occasionally. I will dream a mundane conversation or activity, and a few months later I will be halfway through said action or conversation when the dream flashes back into my head. Despite knowing what is going to happen next, I am unable to change any of it. The most memorable occurred when I was about 14 or 15. I played soccer at the time, and I had a dream about being in front of a mirror, like where the mirror and sink are separate from the rest of the bathroom like at a hotel, and I was brushing my hair and putting it up like I always did before games. I quickly forgot about it, and a few weeks later I accepted a position on a team that would be going to a national tournament in Tennessee. Flash forward like 6 months and I am in the hotel brushing my hair exactly like in the dream. The mirror, sink, and room are exactly the same. Nothing else eventful happens and I shake off the uncomfortable feeling and move on with my day. I talked to my dad about it at dinner one night that week and he has said that it happens to him sometimes as well. I was driving home from work on a long, somewhat dark road. I'll admit I was tired and cold and just wanted to get home. Speed limit was 60 miles per hour, and I was doing closer to 70. Suddenly, a girl with long blonde hair, a black coat with brown fur on the hood and jeans just showed up in front of my car. I knew there was another car to my left up ahead, but it was black, and all I saw was that it was stopped before I saw her. I managed to maneuver around her. I was freaked out. I turned to a side street and stopped to figure out what was happening. Then a tall guy with a black coat and short hair gets out of the driver's side of the stopped car, grabbed her, dragged her to the car while she was fighting him, and put her back in the car. I called the police and gave them the description of the car and the direction it took off in. I never heard anything about it, and I have not stopped thinking about her since. It's been 2 years. Edit, just in case anyone is curious or could even know something, the location was Lincoln, Rhode Island, US, next to the high school. Jan/February 2019. The car was a new black sports, maybe, car with the tail light going all the way across the back of the car. George Washington Highway. Once I was hired to load firewood into my aunt's basement. She lives alone, and left the basement door open for me while she went out. I usually swing the interior basement door, as wide as I can when I walk in, and the door almost never closes completely. But once I heard it close, and when I was about to grab another load, I saw that the deadbolt locked. When I walk in, my arms are filled with firewood, so I wouldn't be able to lock it myself. Looked out the window, and checked the garage to see if she came home, but she wasn't there. The door itself was enclosed, so no wind to shut it. I tried various ways of slamming the door so it would lock by itself, but nothing worked. It's an isolated house, so I would have heard someone drive up, and it's highly unlikely someone walked over just to lock the door and leave time it while I was piling up firewood, and there's wooden steps, so I would have heard someone walking down them. It's the only time I've seen a deadbolt lock itself in my life. My brother had a similar experience of things moving in an unexplained way. He was working at our house because he kept a vintage car in our garage. It was a detached garage in a gated yard, and he was totally alone at the house. He's working away, and all of a sudden his toolbox moved across the floor. He was totally freaked out, and packed up and left ASAP. That house was odd. It was Edwardian and quite big. We had a couple of other odd happenings. A friend was very scared of an attic bedroom in that house. It did have a weird feel about it, and nobody ever wanted to sleep in there. My father-in-law also saw a figure walk behind him in a mirror, and I saw a figure in our bedroom. It was a child standing by my bed. We have only lived in modern houses since, and I'm back to being skeptical about hauntings and hoping all of those events can be explained.
I work in the hospital. I clean isolation wards in the evening or night, but also all other suddenly vacant rooms that need disinfection. You know, dead people. The amount of times shit happens in those rooms. Especially when me and my colleague are getting giddy about almost weekend or just dark humor stuff. Some ghosts really don't like it, and throw our bucket of disinfection down or the ladder or stuff. It's crazy. I just call the hospital ghost Henry. There was a guy named Henry who I think really liked the news. The first time at his room the TV would plop on without anyone touching it, at news time top of the hour. Happened for weeks and weeks, but I guess he is gone now. Anyway, I don't believe in ghosts, but I encounter them daily. So maybe I do. Most of the times I just say I'm sorry about my joking, and everything gets okay again. Or I just welcome them, like Henry. He followed me for weeks, so hi you again. I could also just be coping with a really dark job. I was living in Boston. I woke up at 3 a.m. or so by my cat jumping up on my bed, and curling in between my calf muscles, and going to sleep. My cat would do this every night since I was 5 years old. That was his spot. It was something I was very familiar with. Thing is, my cat was living with my parents on the West Coast. So I couldn't understand what the hell I just felt. But I knew it was my cat. I just figured I was dreaming. Got a call from my parents the following morning that my cat died around midnight the previous night. 3 hours behind since I was on the East Coast. Guess that was my cat traveling to Boston to come see me one last time. Edit, after so many replies, I got to say this. Really, I wasn't dreaming. I remember it quite well. I said maybe I was dreaming because I am doubtful myself. But thinking back, yeah, I was wide awake and realized my experience. Despite being a fun believer in ghosts, suspension of disbelief, I haven't had any other experiences other than this. This is my own experience and I expect and appreciate the doubt. But call it what you will. I'm glad you both got that last snuggle. I fell asleep on the couch, and got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. Once I got there I realized I didn't have to go. I headed towards the bedroom but decided to turn around, and go back downstairs to the couch. When I got there I saw my body still asleep curled up on the sofa. I don't remember what happened after, and I know it had to have just been a dream. But, it still freaks me out to this day to think about it. Laughing my ass off, you became your own sleep paralysis demon. Maybe we're all our own demons after all. Maybe around age 14, early 90s. We were traveling from TX up to Tacoma, Washington. We were about out of money. Almost out of gas, no food, stuck in Chico, California. I sat in the car while Mom took my younger sisters to the restroom at a gas station. I was riddled with anxiety about our situation, and looking down. The car door opened, and I looked up. A lady that looked like a brown-haired Brady mom sat in the seat, and faced me. She said, "It seems like you're down on your luck. Take this and give it to your mom. Tell her to pay it forward someday to someone who needs it." I looked down into my hand, and there was a $100 bill. I looked up and she had disappeared. Nowhere in the parking lot, just vanished. I cried. When Mom came back I told her what happened, and she cried. We got gas. There was a guy selling oranges on the side of the road, and we bought a bag and went to a local park that had a part of the river with a little spillway dam, and went swimming and ate oranges for a couple of hours before getting back on the road. I never saw the lady again, but she saved us. And we did make it up to Tacoma to start our new life. Thank you, stranger lady with invisible powers, we never forgot your kindness. In college I was roommates with my childhood best friend for about 2 years. We are very trusting with each other. We would go into each other's rooms freely, and grab whatever we needed. To borrow clothes, hairbrush, perfume, etc. No questions asked, just a knock if we were in the room to let each other know we were going in. Our rooms are across the hall from each other, with the hall facing the kitchen. So from the kitchen you could see down the hall where our rooms were. At the time my friend had very long black hair and she's very fair-skinned. One day, I get home from work, with my headphones in my ear talking to my mom about my day. I go in the kitchen and grab a snack. I see her walk out of her room and go into mine. Leave my room and go back into hers. She looked like she just got out the shower. Her hair was soaking wet and she was wrapped in a white towel. Her long black wet hair is what I distinctly remember. Also, she made no eye contact with me, but I didn't think it was weird. I didn't say anything to her since borrowing each other's stuff was normal. I'm still on the phone with my mom, so I don't think much of it. I grab my snack, hang up with my mom and go into my room to watch TV. I figured she's getting ready to go somewhere and we'll talk later. About an hour passes and I go to the kitchen to clean the plate I ate on. I see her in the kitchen making something to eat and I tell her, "Hey, what did you grab from my room earlier? Did you find what you needed?" She looks at me like if I was crazy and says, "What are you talking about?" So I say, "Yeah, earlier when I got home I saw you go into my room and grab something. Did you get what you needed?" Sorry I didn't say hi, I was on the phone with my mom. She asks me if I'm sure I saw her. I said yes, 100%. She tells me to grab my phone and go to her car ASAP, that she needs to show me something. I had my phone on me and she grabbed my keys from the kitchen counter along with her purse, and she drags me out the front door and into her car. She then tells me she got home maybe 5 minutes before we started talking. She had spent the night at her boyfriend's, and hadn't been home all day. So she has no idea who I saw. I'll never forget the look on her face when she told me this. Complete fear and panic. She called the cops, and they came along with the apartment manager. They checked the whole apartment, and found no one. Nothing amiss. And they were in there while checking every nook and cranny. The manager got maintenance to change our locks, and gave us new keys that day. My friend then tells me that for a week she'd been hearing noises from her bathroom like bottles moving, and when she went to check she found nothing. I have no idea who I saw going in and out of our rooms, but it looked exactly like my friend. I don't drink or do drugs. Not on meds. This was in 2014 and I still freak out when I think about it. Thanks for watching till the end.